Sir, my name is Umar Hassan Bajwa. I am Assistant Director in Trade Development Authority of Pakistan. Today we are here for a webinar. The purpose of this webinar is to identify problems regarding the export of rubber and tire to South African market from Pakistan. In this particular webinar, we will focus on the issues that our exporters face whenever they try to reach out to the South African market, first of all. And at the same time, our focus will be on market diversification, as so far the volume of our exports to South African market is very minimal. So what we will do, we will let our exporters know that how can they effectively and efficiently and competitively export their products to the South African market. First of all, I would like to welcome our High Commissioner from South Africa, Mr. Mazhar Javed Saab, to give a welcome remarks in this particular webinar. Sir, over to you. Sir, your mic is kindly, please unmute it.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you doing, Your Excellency?
I'm very fine. Thank you so much. How are you?
It is so wonderful to have your acquaintance, really. It's such a pleasure indeed, and honor.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored and flattered.
Jazakallah khair.
Thank you, Imtiaz Sahab, for joining us. We will give you opportunity, inshallah. You are the speaker, sir, from South African side.
Yes, please forgive me. Unfortunately, I dropped my telephone yesterday, carrying many devices, and my camera has got a problem now.
It's okay, sir. Ji, sir. Ji, sir.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, sure.
Right. So first of all, let me welcome all the participants who have gathered here for this very important webinar. And I say it is important not without reason, but for the real significance that it carries for the economies of, for enhancing our exports. Let me give you an overview. It was the realization that the most important thing in trade promotion is the business-to-business contacts and the technical details or the problems overcoming the technical difficulties in promoting trade. So it was with that realization that we started with this series of webinars, which are sector-specific and focusing on assisting the exporters and the importers on getting more awareness on the procedure and the technical details of how to move forward. And this is in very much sync with Pakistan's overall policy of Engage Africa, which is a robust initiative of the government of Pakistan to enhance its relations, particularly the economic and trade relations with all the African countries. And obviously, I don't need to say that South Africa is the most important market and a trading partner, the most thriving economy in this region. Then, in the larger perspective, it is even more important, not only for Pakistan, but for all countries of the world, to diversify their export markets. Diversification is the key to success of any trade policy. And possibly with Pakistan's trade mix, it is much more important that we diversify our markets in terms of countries to which we export and also in terms of commodities. So rubber and tire fits into both these categories. We have a very small share of a very large market in this sector, which exists in South Africa. So that's the reason why I say this webinar of today is important, and I'm sure with the kind assistance, and I have no words to thank my South African friends for providing assistance and technical details on the trading procedures to Pakistani exporters. So my utmost thanks to my South African friends, participants, and my appreciation for the Trade Promotion Bureau, Trade Promotion Authority of Pakistan, which is assisting in connecting the businesses of the two sides. Now I won't talk for too long, and I would request that more fruitful discussion start here with. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind word and very informative words for our participant particularly. Now, dear participants, I will tell you the scheme of our webinar will be such that, first of all, our worthy Trade and Investment Officer in South Africa will give a presentation regarding the opportunities that our tire exporters will have in South Africa, and then at the same time, there will be participants from South Africa, that is Mr. Farouk Ali and Mr. Imtiaz Tayyub, that will give their remarks regarding how the exports can be done to South Africa in an efficient manner. At the same time, we will have with us Mr. Charles D. Willers, that is the member of South African Tyre Import Association. From Pakistan side, we will have our representative from Panther Tyres, Mr. Rizwan Shah, and from Services Tyre, we have Mr. Farooq Bey. So, ma'am, first of all, over to you to let our participants know regarding the opportunities that they have in the South African market.
Thank you, Umar. Thank you, Shumaila, Dr. Shumaila, and thank you, Umar, and thank you, Zain, who is the product officer, for this opportunity and for organizing all these, coordinating with this trade commission in South Africa. I'll share my screen. Can you see my presentation now?
Ma'am, do you have any problem regarding sharing the presentation?
G,
If you can, I can just at the bottom of the Zoom share screen. The green one, probably.
G. This one.
Yes.
Is it? Yeah,
Okay.
it's here.
Yeah, it is visible now.
Yes. So basically, South African, and I would request Mr. Shahs, being the representative of the South African Importer Association, and Mr. Farouk, and who are in the business, and Mr. Imtiaz Tayyab from Malas, to correct me if somewhere I'm wrong, because they are the one who represent, they are in the business actively. South African local tire manufacturers, South African tire sector is not a young sector. It's 85 years old, over 85-year-old sector, and it contributes around Rand 20 billion to the South African economy annually, जो कि around बनते हैं 1.1 or 1.2 billion dollars. It provide jobs at least to 6.5 6,500 people in South Africa, and approximately 32,000 people indirectly are employed by it. Now, South Africa Trade Manufacturer Association, SATMA, is South African Tire Manufacturer Association. They said that to establish a tire factory will cost more than over 1 billion rand, with annual upgrades of around rand is South African currency, 100 million per year to keep up with developments. If a factory of tire closes down, the Western trends indicate that the factory will never open up again, keeping in view the cost involved. Now, second one, the second slide is about the trade data that we have. Now, the initial one, I have just taken 3 HS codes of the new tires. So the total rubber data, the first one in the purple, total rubber data of the under the rubber sector, shows a data in US dollar million, and Pakistan export to South Africa had been very minimal, and that is in sectors beside tires. Used tires or new tires are not part of it. Rubber being shifted for the rubber tubes inside the tires, or the conveyor belts, all these other sectors, but not the tires, the old or the new tires. Pakistan export to the world in overall in rubber category is around 39-40 million, and South African import, now it is interesting to look at the South African import in the rubber sector, is very good. From 2018 it was around like 1.3 billion, and that has reduced like a bit to 0.9 billion, or or around 961 million COVID effects. But the South African tire or rubber import sector is very strong. Now, total new tires, the overall our new tire export to South Africa in 2019, maybe in 2018 it was a single deal, and after that there has been nothing in 2019 and 20 from Pakistan. Pakistan overall export has been $13 million, and South African new tire import alone has been 468 in 2020. So that's a quite substantial import from global. Now, their major import destinations are China, United States, Japan, and Pakistan rank somewhere. These destinations, this destination is from the entire rubber perspective, not only even tire. This includes rubber and tire both. Now, SAST is the agency that is responsible for certification related to rubber and tire, and the environment, the categories that they are linked to in this area are plastic pipes, fitting, valves, auxiliary equipment intended for the transport of fluid, all these rubber and tire related products. There are, if the participants wants me to share information on SAPs, I can alone share information. I think
Humaira, sorry to interrupt you. Humaira, can you hear me?
जी, I can hear you.
आपको sorry मैंने interrupt किया. हमारे जो एक participant है from Journal Tyre, उनको please admit कर लें, और अगर हो सके तो kindly हमें co-host कर दें एक साथ, ताकि ये problem बीच में आपको दोबारा ना हो.
Okay.
सरफराज साहब हैं, वो काफी देर से wait कर रहे हैं. उनको admit कर दें, और हमें please आपको जरा co-host कर दें, ताकि आपको दोबारा ये problem ना हो. फिर हमें भी कोई नजर आएगा तो admit कर दें.
Okay. I think nobody is waiting for me. अच्छा ठीक है.
आप मुझे आप टीडा को पोस्ट करें, फिर हम उनसे बात करते हैं, ताकि आपकी बीच में इंटरप्शन ना आए.
ये मुझे होस्ट बनाने को दे रहा है, आपको को होस्ट बनाने को it is not giving me such options.
जो हमारा टीडा आपके सामने आ रहा होगा ना, उसके आगे आप क्लिक करेंगे तो ऑप्शंस आ जाएंगे. तो उस ऑप्शंस में वो आपसे पूछ लेगा कि क्या करना चाह रहे हैं आप.
Chat, stop video, spotting forever, and make host.
हाँ,
yes.
ये वाला.
So
make host नहीं, make co-host.
There is no option for co-host.
आप उसको करें तो host के साथ करना.
Actually, I am recording this video for uploading purposes. So I just bear with me for a second, and I'll
Sorry for the interruption, all the participants, because there is some technical glitch going on right now at the moment.
There is nobody waiting. You can look at the list. There is nobody waiting in the for the entry.
Okay, madam.
Okay, madam, sorry for the interruption once again, and please continue. We'll just ask the person to send the invitation again. Thank you.
Thank you. SAPS is the related agency for which the new entrants to the market have to apply for the certification. The related certificates are ISO 501 and 2007, and SAN South African National Standards is a voluntary standard certification. It is not applied by the government, and is the related South African National Standard and publication. 254 is the number. Now, duties, 15% VAT is overall applied on imported goods, and on South African used or new tires, environmental levy are being levied, and it is levied on manufacturers. This is some information about the duty structure on tires, as you can see. Yeah. So here you can see on new tires, the duties vary from rim size to size, from different rim sizes. And it varies for the general is the MFN duty, EU market, EFTA, SADC region, in which there are around 16 countries, and for Mercosur. So the disc for the used tires, 4011 for the used tires, the duties, a rim of less than 91 centimeter are 20%, and then it is for 20% MFN. For EU it is 10%, and for SADC it is free. Same is with the other tires, and as I said, it varies from sector to sector. This one is about the new tires, and the new tire, as you can see, the duties are pretty much high and on MFN basis. The rim side, recently I changed my personal car tires as well, and those were around 17 inches. And while preparing for this presentation, I realized that I paid a general duty, or maybe I don't know where they were imported from. So I paid these duties. So 30% is with the rim size of 17 inch, जो हमारी गाड़ियों में लगता है, तो this 30% on MFN, but 30% is to be noted will apply on the import from Pakistan. 15 is on EU, and SADC is free, and 30% again is on Mercosur. So it is important to note that even having an agreement with other countries does not mean that you will have free entry into the market. Most of the time we hear it from our importers that Pakistan must try to get into some sort of agreement arrangement. If it is a bilateral arrangement, it is not guaranteed that we will have a free entry into certain markets. You can see that there is even EU has a 15% duty. So it's a pretty much, though South African manufacturers, they complain about the competition on the market, but the market still for the new tire is pretty much protected, except for the used in aircraft, motorcycles and bicycles, the one that you can see down there. Then we have international. Now, some of the international that are operating in South African markets are these: Apollo, Bridgestone, Continental, Goodyear, Michelin. I have written the name of the countries where they're originating from: Dunlop, Hancock, Nixon, Yokohama, and Kumho. I bought the other day Nexon. I don't know how good they are, but I bought them. Driver said that they were fine. South African tires manufacturers, some of them include Leader Rubber Company South Africa, Bendex South Africa Private Limited, and Sumitomo Rubber. These are the South African local manufacturers. Some of the distributors that I have mentioned on this slide: HiQ, Automotive, Quick Fit, Minties, Mala. From Mala's, we have a representation of Mr. Imtiaz Sahab today, Tiger, and Nuvo, Protea, Sumitomo Rubber, Thai Auto, and Trend Tires, Auto and Truck Tires. Challenges in the South African market is that South African Tyre Manufacturer Association complains about the competition that is rising in the market because of the import, opening up of the import, lowering of the duties, and the competition that they are facing now because of the import from China, from South Korea, the Asian manufacturers. And since it is a price-driven market, plus it is highly quality-focused, tires, as during discussion with Farooq Ali Sahab, he rightly pointed out that tires is somebody your life depends on. So whenever you make a purchase, you are ready to punch a little bigger hole in your wallet to make sure that you do not die on road because of poor quality or for those $100 or $200 that you saved. So and also because there is a lot of competition, so the price and the competition from Chinese and South Korean market, you have to compete also on prices. Same again in advancement in technology. The technology is giving a tough competition. Support to the distribution businesses, support in terms of the services being extended by the manufacturer to the distribution businesses also play an important role. According to Tire Manufacturer Conference, in a Tire Manufacturer Conference of South Africa Tire Manufacturer Association, these were some of the points that they highlighted. The strict labor laws in the country, the pending carbon tax, high cost of tooling import due to weak, the decline, the up, down, and fluctuation in the South African currency, reduced productivity in the local manufacturing sector has been pointed out by some of the reasons by the South African side. Now, there is an event, Tyre Expo Africa 2020, which helps biennially. It is scheduled for this year. It will be held in Johannesburg 2022, but it is not confirmed whether this event will be held or not. But this is a tyre related event in South Africa. The tyre related associations include Tyre Importer Association of South Africa, which is represented by Mr. Charles today here with us, South African Tyre Manufacturer Association, Tyre Equipment Part Association, TIPA. There are 3 associations. And with this, I end my presentation. So thank you. And now I would request Mr. Farooq, who is with us, for his comments and also for the information and for correction of errors that I have made in my presentation. So Mr. Farooq, over to you. Thank you and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for granting me the opportunity. Your presentation was great. You pointed out very much what needed to be pointed out. It's a very competitive market, and the customers are very fussy when it comes to brands. And in terms of quality, one has to be very, very careful with what we sell. Tyre is a life and limb product, and one has to be very careful as to what we actually sell into the market. I'm sure Imtiaz from Malas knows much more than what I do, so he can enlighten you a bit more on the tyres of importing here.
Thank you, Mr. Farooq. Thank you. And now I would request Mr. Imtiaz Tayyab for his briefing and information to share with the participants, please. Over to you, Imtiaz Sahab.
Yes, thank you very much. Firstly, it's indeed my pleasure to meet all the participants on the panel. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. Most of the information that you've presented there is close to accurate. I suppose that some of the information could be refined and provide additional detail on it that would give a much more clearer picture. There is much more detail that one could explore. But I would say overall, the information that you presented gives the dynamics of the tyre industry in South Africa. Yes, I think a lot of my colleagues that are on the panel that are South African based would agree that the South African tyre industry is highly competitive. It will be worth mentioning that China has indeed been a great game changer for the tyre industry in the region. And I suppose that's going to be for quite the foreseeable future. Of course, we do know that Africa is a rising giant. So in that, the region presents tremendous amount of opportunities going forward. We do realize that, with the transformation of societies and economies, you're going to find that Africa will, have this growth that is much anticipated. And the growth is something that, we all look forward to, because this will expand the capacity and capabilities of the region. But of course, China has not been complacent. They've been trying to dig their heels into the region quite impressively. They've been covering quite a bit of ground, and we all know that the Chinese manufacturing capacity has been increasing phenomenally over the years, and I see that being sustained for quite some time. I think also in terms of the local manufacturing market, we actually have 4 manufacturers made up of Sumitomo Rubber Industries. We have Goodyear, we have Continental, and Bridgestone. And they particularly, have been quite solid in the marketplace, particularly because they have control of the retail networks. So they've invested a lot of money into the tire industry by establishing their own retail networks, primarily because they wanted to secure, their output and basically manage their, sales capacities as well. But yes, China, has come in and, they've offered the market various options. And one has to mention that the quality of the products coming through from China is not to be undermined. The qualities are quite great. In fact, it's common sense that and common knowledge that the Chinese product is actually making its way throughout the world at the moment, and it's been very acceptable throughout the region, in different regions of the world. And it's been highly accepted, in terms of quality and in terms of value for money. So, by and large, the market has reached a point where it has got, diversification. As we sit in this point, there is diversification, sufficient diversification. We could almost say that the market has balanced out. But giving, attention to what is the potential of the market, there's always potential in the market because it is, as I mentioned, Africa is a growing giant, and one needs to consider, what's gonna happen over the next 5 or 10 years. I would say that, in every tranche of 5 years, you see the market evolving. I mean, it's not an industry that stands still. It's continuously evolving and things are changing continuously. So I think that, one could look at various opportunities in different ways, whether this would mean exporting product into this region, or whether it would mean
Hello? Please,
जी,
Imtiaz sir, please
Imtiaz
continue.
sir,
Please
would you
continue.
like to continue again?
Ji, continue, Imtiaz sir.
can you hear me?
Yes,
We can hear
we
you.
can.
Okay. So, we need to consider a very important issue, which is that South Africa has the SADC is part of the SADC trade protocol, which means that the movement of goods between all the member states would be free of duty. And I think that that will also pose to be a fantastic opportunity for anybody that's willing to invest into South Africa in terms of manufacturing. As far as the country South Africa is concerned, we are quite a modern economy. We have a very stable infrastructure. Yes, we do have our challenges and difficulties, but still, it's really a springboard into the whole African region. So if there's any consideration to make investment in South Africa, this would definitely open a whole world of opportunities for investors in this region. Because, there is just so much of opportunity that does exist, and opportunities that will be materializing as the markets transform. So one needs to take great advantage of these opportunities that exist. And any type of investment in our country would be most welcome. And, we also have government agencies, particularly trade and industry, that are very supportive for this type of ventures. And there's a whole host of, if I may add, there's a whole host of incentives that are available from our government that would actually encourage investment taking place in our country. So, one needs to explore this. And if you require my assistance to recommend you to certain specialists at trade and industry that specialize in the motor industry, it would be my pleasure to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Imtiaz Sahab. It is worthy to mention that Imtiaz Sahab is in Dubai, and he is joining us from Dubai. So Imtiaz Sahab, we really appreciate your effort for joining us from Dubai and sharing your experience, your valuable knowledge and information. and also the willingness to cooperate with those who want to join who want to or have planned to join the South African market and explore the South African market. Now, I would request Mr. Imtiaz, I would request Mr. Rizwan Shah from Panther Tyre Manufacturers in Pakistan for to share information about Panther tires in Pakistan and about the tire industry in Pakistan. Rizwan Shah Sahab, please.
Hi everyone, this is Rizwan from Panther Tyres. We are the manufacturers in Pakistan. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Please continue.
Okay. I was going through all of the presentation for this market, and this is a very good step from the trade missions and also the people who are based in South Africa for sharing the kind of information which basically the manufacturers are needing to get themselves into that market. We have been doing business with other African countries, but not this South Africa at the moment. Definitely, it gives opportunity for us to see a market which is too big for the business, and with the kind of product which we are making, and to feel our product can easily enter that market. There is something which we need some help from the missions at the moment, because there are few challenges which we actually face from the African markets, which is very, like, I think all of the exporter does. Especially for Pakistan, we are facing one issue is with the payment credit terms, because there is too much of, we can say, doubts involved when we are dealing with companies based in Africa, in which we are going to start our business firsthand. Okay. Second thing, which we are facing from issues with the African market is the information of the importers, which we are getting. Because you mentioned some HS codes, and I was looking at that. By the imports, Pakistan was nearly 0%. But at the same slide, you mentioned that Pakistan is also exporting. Pakistan is also exporting the same HS codes to around the world with a good percentage and good amounts. Okay, so means that South Africa has been market which is not being tapped by Pakistani tire manufacturers or tire exporters. So for that, we would be needing the mission support for relevant importers or buyers or distributors, because currently anyone from Pakistan would be more interested in making arrangements to some business partners, like who are going to import their products. So with my fellow colleagues from all the manufacturer companies, we do make similar kind of products with the same HS codes. So normally Pakistan is, like, if there are 4 big players, so 3 of them makes the same HS codes product as well, which is being imported in.
Rizwan Shah Sahab, I would request, we have well noted your payment credit terms and the importers information, but I would request if you could tell us something about the Panther tires, for how long it has been in the industry, your annual turnover, and the markets that you're already exporting to, and the certification, quality certification that Panther Tyre has. So those people who are sitting from South Africa know about your level, so.
Okay, sure. Panther Tyres, we are manufacturing tires starting from motorbikes, auto rickshaw, light trucks, heavy trucks, truck bus tires. We are making agriculture tires. We are suppliers to OEMs over here, like Massey Ferguson, Fiat tractors, and then we are making off-the-road tires, OTR tires. So we are basically making everything which is demanded by the international market. Panther Tyre is having, you can say, with a production capacity of around 5,000 tons a month. So we are making all products for these kind of vehicles, which I earlier mentioned. Okay. Currently, we have the certification we are an ISO certified company, obviously. Okay. Then we have got our products are already exported to Europe. So we have got EMARC certifications. We are into South American markets. So we have in-metro certifications, EMARC, in-metro, all other like any customized inspections which are carried out by few of the importers, like whatever they demand. So our company complies to that, and we provide them the certifications which they basically need. But these are the certifications which our company already maintains, which basically includes ISO, e-marking, in metro.
Thank you, Rizwan Shah Sahab. About the questions of Rizwan Shah Sahab, I would request Mr. Charles or Mr. Imtiaz Tayyab or Farooq Ali, if anyone of you would like to answer his questions. The importers list we will share, and then of the payment credit terms.
Yeah, Madam, one more point that is very important. As Mr. Imtiaz mentioned, that China is very, at the moment, price competitive, and they are doing good with the pricing as well. But at the same time, there's a good opportunity for Pakistan market, especially the exporters from Pakistan, because recently, for last 1 or 1.5 months, the freights from China has gone crazily up. So people from these kind of markets are looking for some suppliers or some procurements from the countries which are either India, Pakistan. So definitely there's a good opportunity at the moment for Pakistan market, for Pakistan exporters.
Thank you, Rizwan Shah Sahab. Yes, yes, Imtiaz Sahab, Farooq Ali Sahab, and Mr. Charles, if anyone of you would like to answer his query about the payment credit terms when it comes to export from or import from Pakistan.
Yeah, maybe I'll just throw in a point. So I think, Africa does remain a high-risk area when it comes to issues relating to payments. I think, yeah, that risk levels do set very high. I know that it's very crucial that one needs to deal with reputable companies and establish, the forerunners in the industry so that one could manage the credit risk. But another way to basically deal with it, but I'm not so sure how it's, it works from Pakistan, but, credit insurance would be an option to basically deal with that particular problem, because you cannot really fix that problem on the ground,
Right.
The other issue is that, most Chinese companies, if I use Chinese, the Chinese term too often, please forgive me, but what I'm trying to do is provide you with a benchmark and provide you with sufficient information so that, one could sort of re-strategize and adopt new means and new methods. But with Chinese manufacturers, the way they do it is that most of them work on a cash upfront basis. So mostly the payment terms coming out of Africa would be, 30% deposit to secure production, and then 70% will be payable on the site of bill of lading for shipment. All right. So the credit risk needs to be managed at 3 levels. One is you've got to look at the possibility for insurance cover. Secondly is to establish yourself with good accounts so that you can minimize your credit risk. And number 3 is, just secure better payment terms, which would mean is that getting payment upfront. These would be the only 3 options at your disposal right now to basically secure your credit problems. As far as export opportunities into South Africa is concerned, I've got to tell you, and I think my colleagues on the panel would, my South African colleagues particularly will agree with me that the South African market, although it's very opportunistic and has a lot of potential, the problem with that is that it's a very controlled market. And the thing is that, the type of product mix that that somebody is going to represent, there's got to be, sufficient quality accreditations and sufficient, in terms of it has to have sufficiency in terms of its range, in terms of its quality, and in terms of its viability. You talk about the freight rates coming out of China. That's clearly understood. But the fact of the matter is that there's a sort of a set-off in terms of the way the pricing models are based. And the freight factor is an influence, but it's not a monumental influence. Okay. So from that perspective, I think that if you want to enter the market with your product, you're going to need to identify an importer that is going to be able to represent your product in a way that's going to be for the long-term basis and who has a decent output network. Because right now, as we stand, with a combination of local products and imported products, one could say that we are operating in an overtraded market. All right, so it is an overheating market. And also the economy has been slightly under a bit of duress at the moment. So, you know, I mean, yes, the numbers are holding up. And, you know, there is that consistency. But the thing is that what I'm saying is that if you want your product to succeed, particularly in South Africa, you're going to need to tie up with a good distributor who's able to represent your product in a very responsible and in a complete manner. So you would need to seek out somebody that's going to be able to represent your mix of products. There's one thing I just want to throw in for your benefit, is that earlier on, it was mentioned on the presentation that there's the SABS. That has now been changed to the NRCS. It's now called the NRCS. So this is a process where you would need to, I would say, accredit the tire quality, in which is a process that enables the issuance of what we call is an import permit. All right. And one of the fundamental requirements to sort of pass that test at the NRCS is that you would require to have certain certifications. As an example would be an E-mark certification. So you would need to meet that minimum criteria in order for the products to be authorized by NRCS, so that then the issuance of the permit can take place from our trade and industry. So these are just the things to bear in mind.
Thank you very much, Mr. Imtiaz. I noted every point of view, and thank you for sharing all this valuable information. And I totally second that we need to get someone with a good, like we can say, import, we can say a good company import history. Yes.
Thank you, Rizwan Shah Saab. Now I would give a floor to Mr.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Now I would give floor to Mr. Farooq Beg, who is representing service tire manufacturers from Pakistan. Please, Mr. Farooq, kindly introduce your company as Mr. Rizwan Shah did, the products that you make, and will turn over production capacity and the markets you are already exporting to, please. Ji, Mr. Farooq.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm from Service Tires, Pakistan. I'm Farooq Beg. We are manufacturing motorcycles, bicycles, tuk-tuks, agriculture tires, and we are exporting, alhamdulillah, directly to and indirectly almost 40 countries. We are having in metro certification of Brazil, like my friend Mr. Rizwan said. We are already in South America. We are already in Europe with the E-mark certification. We have SNI certification, and the last certification we have the BIS of India. So I would just like to add and second the request of Mr. Rizwan, that we just need the importers details or importers database of our products, because unfortunately we are also not exporting anything to South Africa market, but we are already exporting our products to so many African countries like Nigeria, like Egypt, Tunisia, and Tanzania, Kenya, Sudan, Somalia, so many countries like this. So, but unfortunately, we haven't exported in South Africa. So we just need some support of importers details in South African market. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Farooq Beg Sahab, and for the information that you shared with us. Kindly share, as he mentioned, the production capacity of services tires, and your request for importers detail has been is well noted. So please share your production capacity information with us.
Yes, ma'am. At the moment, alhamdulillah, we have a production capacity of producing more than 30,000 tires a day and more than 125,000 tubes a day. And now we are setting up a plant of production of TBR and TBS, I mean bus and truck tires, with the collaboration of Chinese giant Long March. We are setting up a plant in Karachi.
Okay, sir. Best of luck for that, and looking forward to some good
And
news.
also, I would like to add one thing that there is also good for me and Mr. Rizwan and other tire manufacturer in Pakistan. That luckily there is zero duty I have seen, which you've mentioned in your presentation. In our like line, our we are mainly exporting motorcycle and bicycle and tuk-tuk tires, and it have zero duty in South African market. So we are lucky about that. So if we need some support from High Commission or the concerned authority, so we may do some good business.
Inshallah, sir. We have noted your request for the importers detail, and we will revert back to you soon. Now, with this, I request Mr. Sarfaraz Ahmad, Advisor General Tyre and Rubber Co. Limited in Pakistan. Sarfaraz Ahmad Saab, to kindly introduce your company and the information as shared by about your company, the production capacity, and the export market that you are already in, and the certification that your company has. Sarfaraz Ahmad Saab. We have Sarfaraz ahead. I think we do not have Sarfaraz Ahmad Sahab. I would request Mr. Shah. Now I would request Mr. Shah, who is representing South African Tyre Importers Association, for his comments, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Charles de Villiers. I represent TIASA, which is the Tyre Import Association of South Africa. We represent 19 members of importers, well-known brands like Michelin, Pirelli, Kumo, and many others. And the importers do a wide range of products from PCR, TBR, right up to giant OTR. Our members mostly import through EU and China, the Far East, and some also from America. The TIASA Association was established about 6-7 years ago, and what we do is we liaise with government, local government, on issues on policy. We meet on a regular basis with the South African Revenue Services to look at trade stats, look at ways to facilitate trade, and also to look at implementing legislation that will reduce illicit trade in South Africa. Any economy, illicit trade is a problem, and it affects not only the local tire manufacturers, but it also affects the legitimate importers. So we meet with them on a regular basis. My colleague mentioned to SABS, it's changed to NRCS. That's the National Regulation of Compulsory Specifications. And I need to add on that is that all off-road tires needs no E-mark certification. It's only tires used on road for passenger and truck use that must have E-mark specification, which then goes through the process to be homologated, and then only do you get your import permit. We also work with the Department of Forestry and Fisheries on waste tires to create a plan to reduce our waste tire footprint in South Africa. I just want to mention that in your presentation, you said that used tires are still allowed to be imported into South Africa. That is something that we've tabled to stop, and we'll have that approved in the next few months, because we argue that as local manufacturers and importers that there are sufficient worn casings in South Africa for retreading, that there's no need to further burden our economy or our environment becoming a dumping ground for second-hand or used tires. So that potentially will not be an avenue for other countries to explore going forward. We also meet with the Department of Trade and Industry on any tire-related matters. I think my colleagues have mentioned a lot of the facts already, but I just want to reiterate, South Africa is an overtraded market. It is, there's most of the brands that you find in the world are being represented by either the manufacturers themselves or by an importer, which is the distributor for the brands. And I'm more than welcome to, after the meeting, to share our members' details with your manufacturers, so if they wish to make contact some of these importers to present their company's products to them. And that's basically in a nutshell what we represent and who we represent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Charles de Villiers, for joining us on a short notice. I'm really grateful to you, and cannot thank you enough for willingness to share details of your members with the participants here. Today's session, we have 5 manufacturers. We have General Tyres and Rubbers, CEO Hassan Malik. We have Rizwan Shah, who is representing Panther Tyres, Iftikhar Shafi from Diamond Tyres, Farooq Beg from Service Tyres and Rubbers, and Hafiz Mia Muhammad Noman Tyres and Rubbers, Tyres and Tubes Rubbers, Chief Executive of Gori Tyres and Tubes. There are 5 companies being represented here. Mr. Charles, I would like to request you, our tire manufacturers I know you're the Tire Importers Association, but you have 19 members, and in this kind of market, the manufacturers are not usually, especially from developing countries, they are not usually in great numbers. In Pakistan, we have around these 5 manufacturers, and who are also exporters, but unfortunately, we do not have an association. Would you encourage them to have one, and how making an association further the interest of your association in the government sector and the public sectors, because we want them to have one. What's your take on that, Mr. Shah?
Yes, thank you. An association is a must in our opinion. Up until 6 years ago, the importers were not organized under any umbrella, and it's our government policy that they will not negotiate or discuss government policy with a individual company. So if you want to lobby for changes in policy and legislation, they will only talk to recognized industry bodies. So from that point of view, it's definite. It's a plus to form an association, and we've seen some positive changes through the interaction, even with the local tire manufacturers, which is called the SATMC, and represented by the 4 manufacturers. And we there's certain things in the industry that we agree on, and we then join forces to lobby government to make positive changes to our economy. So I would definitely suggest that you form an association within Pakistan, and that just gives you more leverage when you approach government and other countries and talk to those associations. That it's not an individual company, but rather an association that approaches another association on matters that is relevant to all your members.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. Now, I would request the participant, if anyone has any question for either Mr. Farooq, Imtiaz, or Mr. Charles, then please, forum is open for questions. I hope everyone.
Ma'am, can I ask one question?
Ji, please.
Yeah, we also need the statistics of population, I mean, motorcycle or tuk-tuk population in South Africa. And what are the types of motorcycles, I mean, engine capacity, and if they have some information about the tire sizes used in those motorcycles. So I think it would be helpful for us.
Okay, okay. We will share that information with you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Besides this, if somebody has some question for the tire importers, that for our South African panel members, I think everyone either has completely understood everything, or is just we have left them more confused. But I hope the information shared by I personally learned a lot, and the information shared by our esteemed South African panel members brought a lot of clarity to the South African tire manufacturing, and also to the tire importing market and its structure. Now, I would request TDAP to formally close the session. Yes, Omar Saab.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Definitely, it was a very informative session, particularly as I mentioned in the start of our webinar, that it will be a market diversification webinar. Currently, we are not exporting tires to South Africa, but after this and after seeing the interest of our exporters, particularly in the South African market and the issues that were initially faced by them and the solutions that are given by our participants from the South African side, I am being from the representative of TDAP is very hopeful that we will definitely tap some market and share in South African market. From here, I thank all of you to come and join this particular webinar. And we are here to help you out in any sort of information that you required from TDAP, from our High Commissioner side, Ms. Mera Israel is there. And we are here to help you out. Do let us know if you face any difficulty in your overall exports to South Africa in the export of rubbers or tires. Thank you, participants, for coming. Thank you, ma'am, for coming and for your precious time.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.